In the gardens of Jetavana, the Buddha sat beneath a banyan tree, his calm presence commanding silent reverence. Disciples gathered around him, curious and eager, seeking wisdom to illuminate their struggles and doubts. The Buddha began speaking, his voice steady and serene, words flowing like the gentle river nearby. Friends, what is it that binds the mind, keeping it from peace and clarity? Asked the Buddha softly. One disciple responded, Master, perhaps it is the countless thoughts that clutter and confuse our minds. The Buddha nodded in agreement, his gaze filled with understanding and patience. Indeed, our thoughts can chain us, creating illusions that mislead and obscure the truth. The Buddha picked up a fallen leaf, studying its intricate veins and delicate surface with quiet fascination. Consider this leaf, he said. It is small, yet its beauty exists only for a fleeting moment in time. He continued, we often crave permanence where there is none, believing that we can hold on to what must inevitably pass away. A young novice, curious and hopeful, asked, Master, how can we free ourselves from this craving? The Buddha smiled gently, his response measured and wise. One must first recognize the nature of all things impermanence. To see clearly is to begin the journey to freedom. The Buddha gestured toward the garden, his hand tracing the air as if painting invisible patterns of interconnectedness. Look at the trees and flowers, he said. Each is part of a larger whole, yet each follows its own path of change. He continued, we are like these blossoms, connected by the threads of existence, yet impermanent in our individual forms. A monk seated nearby bowed deeply, his expression filled with newfound gratitude and humility. Master, how do we embrace impermanence without fear? He inquired. The Buddha replied, fear arises from misunderstanding. Impermanence is not to be feared but embraced, for it leads to growth and renewal. The Buddha then took a moment of silence, allowing the whispers of the garden to harmonize with his teachings. Birds chirped, leaves rustled, and the gentle breeze carried an air of tranquility and wisdom. Attachment is the root of suffering, the Buddha continued, his words resonating deeply with the disciples. To desire permanence where there is none is to invite pain and confusion. He turned his attention to a small pond shimmering in the sunlight, its surface mirroring the world around it. Observe the pond, the Buddha said. Its stillness reflects clarity, yet when disturbed, it loses its ability to mirror the truth. He added, our minds are like this pond. When still and focused, they can see reality as it truly is. A disciple raised his hand, asking earnestly, Master, how can we still our minds amidst life's turbulence? The Buddha replied, through mindfulness and meditation, one can cultivate the clarity and calm necessary to overcome distraction and illusion. He continued, to practice is to strengthen the mind, guiding it like the hands of a careful gardener nurturing a seed. The Buddha then shared a parable, a story drawn from his deep understanding of human struggle and resilience. There once was a farmer who cared deeply for his land, the Buddha said. Yet neglect allowed weeds to overrun his field. He continued, to restore his crops, the farmer worked tirelessly, removing each weed with patience and diligence. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle among the disciples, their eyes wide and contemplative. We must be like the farmer, cultivating the soil of our minds and clearing the weeds of craving and ignorance. The Buddha added, to see the roots of suffering is the first step toward liberation. To act upon this knowledge is to walk the path of truth. An elder monk seated near the Buddha bowed and said, Master, your words have unveiled the nature of my struggle. How shall I proceed? The Buddha responded, the path is illuminated by wisdom and action. To study impermanence and to meditate deeply is to begin. He continued, wisdom is born of understanding, And understanding grows through mindful observation of the world and oneself. The Buddha then shared another insight, deepening the disciples' awareness of their interconnected existence. Life is like the river, he said, his hand gesturing toward the flowing water nearby. Each drop is part of a greater current, moving with purpose yet ever changing in its form. He added, to resist this flow is to struggle. To flow with it is to find peace. The disciples sat in silence, absorbing the depth of the Buddha's teaching and reflecting upon their own lives and experiences. The garden seemed to hum with the vibrations of wisdom, each leaf and flower whispering secrets of impermanence. Friends, remember this, the Buddha said gently, breaking the stillness. Impermanence is the law of nature, the truth that unites all existence. He continued, do not cling to what must change, for clinging only deepens suffering. Instead, embrace life's transience with gratitude and grace. He added, gratitude transforms fear into acceptance, allowing us to walk the path of liberation with calm and purpose. The Buddha then stood, his movements flowing like the river he spoke of, and gazed at the disciples with compassion. My teachings are not just words but an invitation to practice, to live with awareness and wisdom, the Buddha said. Through impermanence, we discover the true nature of existence and awaken to the boundless potential within ourselves. He concluded, may you find peace in understanding and strength in practice. May you walk the path with mindfulness and courage. As the disciples bowed deeply, their hearts resonated with the Buddha's wisdom, each feeling the gentle stirrings of transformation. The gardens of Jetavana seemed to glow with an ethereal light, the banyan tree standing as a symbol of impermanence and renewal. The Buddha's words lingered in the air, a guide and inspiration to all who sought truth and liberation. Another day, another gathering beneath the vast canopy of Jetavana's forest. The Buddha sat in serene silence before his disciples. The sounds of nature whispered around them, blending harmoniously with the gentle rhythm of their focused breaths. Words, when spoken without thought, create barriers. Silence dismantles these walls and fosters bridges of empathy, the Buddha explained. The disciples recalled the villagers' dispute that had erupted earlier, voices clashing like cymbals, drowning reason and compassion in chaos. He continued, what purpose does a mirror serve if it cannot reflect clearly? His words inspired silence and contemplation among the disciples. A young monk responded, Master, a mirror reflects the truth before it. The Buddha nodded, his gaze piercing yet compassionate. Indeed, it reveals truth, but only when undisturbed and polished, he said softly. He pointed to the river, its flowing water reflecting sunlight, trees, and sky with striking clarity. Observe the river, steady and calm, its surface a faithful mirror of the world around it. The Buddha crouched to scoop water into his hands, holding it momentarily before releasing it back to its source. When stirred, it loses its clarity, he said. So too does the mind, agitated by the storms of craving and aversion. His words resonated deeply, urging his disciples to consider the turbulence within their own minds. In the stillness, their minds began to soften, and memories of shared laughter and love emerged, dissolving their animosity. When the hour ended, they exchanged glances that spoke volumes. An apology, a recognition of their bond, and forgiveness. The silence had healed what words could not. It revealed the truth of their connection and extinguished the flames of discord. The Buddha paused, allowing his disciples to reflect on the story's meaning and how it applied to their own lives. A disciplined mind guides and calms like the steadfast riverbed. The Buddha then told a story to clarify his lesson, weaving timeless wisdom into simple imagery. Once, a fisherman found his net torn by restless waves, preventing him from catching the fish he needed. The disciples listened intently, intrigued by the unfolding parable and its connection to the day's teachings. The fisherman did not curse the waves, the Buddha continued, but patiently mended his net and worked with the currents. He concluded, with mindfulness and effort, he caught fish, turning chaos into harmony and provision. The disciples reflected deeply, pondering their own efforts in seeking clarity and mindfulness. The Buddha gestured to the stones beneath their feet, smooth from years of erosion and steady flow. Water molds stone with patience, he said. The same patience molds the mind into a vessel of clarity and truth. He paused briefly, allowing time for his words to sink into the hearts of those around him. In stillness, Buddha added, "The mind unveils wisdom, hidden beneath layers of distraction and agitation. Come forward." The Buddha beckoned gently, inviting them into the circle of wisdom and stillness beneath the Bodhi tree. "Why do you argue so fiercely? What lies at the heart of this conflict that robs you of peace and harmony?" he asked. A disciple sought further guidance, asking, "Master, how do we cultivate this stillness within ourselves?" The Buddha responded, "Through mindfulness, like an attentive gardener tending to each thought with awareness and without judgment." He elaborated, "To watch the mind without reacting is to allow its disturbances to settle naturally. Like ripples fading in a pond." The Buddha turned his gaze back to the river, watching its steady flow with an expression of quiet satisfaction. "Meditation is the tool," he said. "It centers the mind, enabling us to watch thoughts without entanglement or distraction." He continued, "Through practice, stillness grows, mirroring the calm wisdom of nature itself." The Buddha then shared another story, rich with depth and meaning. To further illuminate his point, there once was a monk who sought enlightenment but struggled with the chaos of his inner thoughts. He continued, frustration overwhelmed him, pushing him toward despair and defeat. The disciples listened attentively, eager to hear the monk's resolution. "The monk came to me, asking how he might overcome the storm within his mind," the Buddha said. "I told him, sit by the river and observe its flow. Teach others the value of silence as the foundation of right speech. Fostering harmony and interconnectedness within communities and relationships," he said. "Let your words be like fresh streams, quenching the thirst for peace and dissolving the barriers of conflict." The sun began to set, casting golden light over the grove and the gathered assembly, illuminating the promise of a new beginning. The villagers departed, reconciled and resolved to live differently, while the disciples reflected deeply on the day's teachings. The disciples bowed deeply, acknowledging the depth of the lesson imparted that day. As sunlight filtered through the leaves, Buddha offered closing thoughts to guide his disciples further. Another day, the Buddha and his disciples journeyed to a remote village where the people revered a monk named Vakapati. Vakapati had once been known for his impulsive words, which sowed discord, but had since transformed into a symbol of wisdom. He concluded, "May you cultivate stillness and wisdom, finding peace amid the ever-changing currents of existence." The disciples bowed in unison, their hearts filled with gratitude and inspiration, their minds turning to meditation and reflection. "Disciples," the Buddha began, his voice calm and resonant, "today we honor the journey of one who embraced the practice of right speech." The villagers turned their eyes to Vakapati, who lowered his gaze humbly, acknowledging the profound change within himself. Another day, another lesson awaited as the Buddha and his disciples gathered at the foot of a verdant mountain. The air was crisp, carrying the mingling scents of wet earth and blooming wildflowers from the recent monsoon rains. But even the harshest winds can be stilled, and even the sharpest tongues can learn the art of healing words, the Buddha said. The villagers leaned in closer, eager to learn how Vakapati had undergone such a dramatic transformation, becoming a source of inspiration. He gestured toward the narrow trail snaking upward through the dense foliage and said, "Behold the mountain path," both inviting and demanding. His voice carried the weight of wisdom earned through countless experiences of observing life. Each stone and step is a challenge, the Buddha began, but also an opportunity to rise toward the summit of liberation. The disciples listened intently, their thoughts aligning with the metaphor presented before them in the natural world. My words, born of pride and anger, fractured relationships and tarnished the trust that binds us all, he confessed. It was during one of your teachings, Master, that I realized the weight of my words and their far-reaching consequences, he said. He continued, only by embracing these challenges do we come closer to truth, wisdom, and inner peace. The Buddha began ascending the path, each step deliberate, and motioned for his disciples to follow his example. Walk with care, the Buddha instructed, for each step is a moment of practice, a chance to embody mindfulness. A novice monk stumbled on a loose rock, his fall drawing the attention of all those behind him. The Buddha stopped, helping the novice to his feet with a steady hand and compassionate smile. To stumble is natural, he said, for it reminds us of our human fragility and the need for perseverance. He continued, what matters is not the fall, but the will to rise again and continue the climb. He turned to address the group, his words resonating with a firm yet gentle tone. Failures are the stepping stones of growth, the Buddha said. Each one teaches humility and fosters resilience when approached with wisdom. He then knelt and picked up a stone, holding it up for all to see. Every stone on this path has been shaped by forces greater than itself. Time, water, wind, Buddha explained. So too are we shaped by life's challenges and sufferings, polished by our efforts to overcome them. He gestured toward the summit, partly obscured by clouds, its height a symbol of distant transcendence. As the summit reveals itself slowly, so does enlightenment unveil itself through the gradual unfolding of understanding and practice. Buddha said. The disciples nodded in agreement, the weight of the metaphor sinking deeply into their hearts and minds. The mountain seemed to echo his words, the silence between trees humming with presence. A disciple asked earnestly, Master, how do we ensure that we do not lose our way on this winding path of life? The Buddha smiled, his response both clear and profound. The Eightfold Path is our guide, each step illuminating the next, steering us toward right action and thought. He elaborated. Right view helps us see clearly. Right intention aligns our hearts with compassion and wisdom. These are our foundation. He continued. Right speech and right action ensure harmony with others. Right livelihood sustains us ethically. These build integrity and resolve. He added. Right effort strengthens discipline, while right mindfulness anchors us in the present moment. The Buddha paused, letting the disciples absorb the essence of the teachings, their faces reflecting thoughtfulness and determination. Finally, the Buddha said, right concentration focuses the mind, sharpening our awareness and aligning us with the truth of existence. His words were like the sturdy steps of a ladder leading upward. As they continued the climb, the disciples marveled at the world around them, its beauty revealed through the lens of mindful awareness. A gentle breeze swept through the trees, carrying the sound of rustling leaves and distant bird calls. The Buddha gestured toward the horizon, its vastness reminding them of their interconnectedness with all things. Friends, the Buddha said, life is impermanent, like the clouds shifting above us and the rains that come and go. He continued, this impermanence is not a curse but a gift, for it inspires us to live with intention and gratitude. He added, each moment is an opportunity to awaken, to align ourselves with the path of wisdom and compassion. The Buddha stopped at a clearing where the view stretched endlessly, revealing valleys, rivers, and villages below. Look upon the world, he said. Its beauty lies in its impermanence, its essence in its ever-changing nature. He turned to his disciples, his gaze filled with compassion and understanding. The path is not without its struggles, but neither is it without its joys, the Buddha said. Even amidst suffering, there is beauty to be found, and in beauty, the seeds of mindfulness and liberation. He continued, to walk the path with gratitude is to transform every step into a sacred act of discovery. The Buddha picked up a handful of soil, letting it crumble through his fingers, the earth embodying the nature of existence. We are like this soil, he said, both humble and essential, connected to the whole yet unique in our contributions. He added, through understanding this, we find harmony within ourselves and with the world around us. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the landscape, the Buddha addressed his disciples once more. Friends, the journey to enlightenment is long and demanding, but its rewards are boundless and profound. He concluded, with each mindful step, we ascend toward liberation, toward a state of peace and clarity beyond measure. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with renewed purpose and gratitude for the guidance bestowed upon them. The mountain seemed to embrace their resolve, its trails etched with the footprints of those seeking truth and transformation. The Buddha's words lingered in the air, a beacon of light for all who dared to walk the path. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.